All right, so today we're actually going to start our reading of Beowulf, and we're going to be thinking when we first start out here about the main shadow character that we're going to focus on, that we learned about yesterday, Grendel. This piece starts off with, like a lot of stories do, developing the problem, right? A lot of stories start off by developing a character, developing a problem. And what's interesting about this beginning to this piece is that Grendel is definitely a monster. But the way that he is depicted gives us some reason to relate to him on a human level. So what we're going to be thinking about and what we're doing with our two highlighters is we're going to take one color, and that color is going to be our human color. And as we read just the first few pages, sections 1 and 2, we're going to be noticing the way that the author of this piece is giving us some human vibes on Grendel. We're going to have another color that will come back through after, and that color is going to be the monster color. How Grendel is being developed as a monster. So all of this has to do with how Grendel's being developed. So I'm going to read the first part to you. I have a theater background, and anytime I can read aloud, I take the opportunity because I'm a nerd and I like to do that. And I'm not going to read the entire piece to you because, you guys are juniors. We're in a junior level English class, and we're not going to have that service. However, I will provide read alouds for people who like to use them or feel that they're helpful. I know that a lot of my students thought they were helpful last year when we did read aloud in class. So beyond what I read to you, I'll be providing read alouds to you in class, just so you know. Okay. So let's read and let's think about Grendel and how he's being developed. Okay. The monster Grendel. A powerful monster, living down in the darkness, growled in pain. Impatient as day after day, the music rang loud in the hall. The harp's rejoicing call and the poet's clear songs sung of the ancient beginnings of us all, recalling the Almighty making the earth, shaping the beautiful plains marked off by oceans, then proudly setting the sun and moon to glow across the land and light it. Okay, what are songs being sung about? They're singing in the Great Hall. What are they singing about? Sean. They're singing about the ancient beginnings, the origin story of the whole 7 days the earth was created, that whole situation. Remember, there's Christian influences here, right? So we're getting one of those Christian influences laid down. So in the Great Hall, they're singing of the creation of the earth. And how does the monster feel about it? What is it causing him? Pain. A very human thing. And we'll find out why. The corners of the earth were made lovely with trees and leaves, made quick with life, with each of the nations who now move on its face. And then, as now, warriors sang of their pleasure. So he's feeling what? Grendel's feeling what? How does Grendel feel? The monster. How does Grendel feel? Luke. Yeah, pain, right? Sad. How do the warriors feel who are up there enjoying the songs? Huh? They're happy as can be. What's human about that situation? Is the monster living where they're living? No. So he is separated from them. He is not able to enjoy what they enjoy because he's living down in the darkness. He's growling in pain. Why is he growling in pain? Well, they're just up here celebrating everything they have. Have you ever been in that position where other people get something that you don't? And they're not like shoving it in your face, but they kind of are. You know? I always felt that way after Christmas when I would come back to school and everyone would have really cute new stuff and new clothes and new shoes. And I was like, I got to watch. I didn't get the same things that other people got. And they weren't bragging. They were just showing up in their cute stuff. And I was like, I felt like it wasn't fair. It kind of upset me. And so I see some Grendel in me in that moment. Let's keep on reading. We're still upstairs with the men. So Hrothgar's men, and we learned who Hrothgar was yesterday. He's the king of the Danes. We learned about him yesterday. King of the Danes, the builder of Heorot, had once befriended Beowulf's father. So Hrothgar's the guy who's in charge of this place. So Hrothgar's men lived happy in this hall till the monster stirred. That demon, that fiend, Grendel, who haunted the moors, the wild marshes, and made his home in a hell, not hell, but earth. He was spawned in that slime, conceived by a pair of those monsters born of Cain, murderous creatures banished by God, punished forever for the crime of Abel's death. Let's think about this part for a second. Well, another Christian influence. Who are Beowulf's family? In this part that we just read right here. Conceived by a pair of those monsters born of Cain. If you don't know the Cain and Abel story, read what's over here real fast. How is Grendel different from these men? Who are his people? Who are his people? What did we just learn? Noah, who are his people?
Like monsters.
Monsters. They're monsters. What do we know about Cain? Main character trait. He is a Sean? He's a murderer. You guys know the Cain and Abel story? Cain slew his brother Abel. It's a Bible story. Again, Christian influence. So that's where Grendel comes from. He comes from Cain's people. He comes from murderers. He's different from everybody else. He's not like everyone else. People look down on his family because of who they are. Relatable sometimes to humans? Perhaps. The Almighty drove those demons out, and their exile was bitter, shut away from men. I'm going to highlight that part too. So the Almighty drove those demons out, and their exile was bitter. They were shut away from men. They're not allowed to be with men because of who they are. They're exiled because of their background, because of their family. That would cause a lot of human people to be very angry and bitter, right? if you're not allowed to be with everybody else because of your background. We're not going to let you hang out with us because of that. You have to be alone, lonely, down in the darkness. They, his family, split into 1,000 forms of evil, spirits and fiends, goblins, monsters, giants, a brood forever opposing the Lord's will, and again defeated. Again and again defeated. Can he win? No. In the history of Grendel's people do not win. They're constantly beat down because of who they are. I'm going to make that note. They're constantly beat down because of who they are. Okay. Again and again defeated. Section 2. Then, a word signaling change. Then, when darkness had dropped, Grendel went up to Harrod. That's the big place where they're all hanging out. Grendel went up to Harrod, wondering what the warriors would do in that hall when their drinking was done. That's a human quality, being curious. He wants to see how the other half lives. That's really human. I've done that before. When darkness had dropped, Grendel went up to Harrod, wondering what the warriors would do in that hall when their drinking was done. He found them sprawled in sleep, laying all over the floor, suspecting nothing, their dreams undisturbed. Aw. The monster's thoughts were as quick as his greed or his claws. He slipped through the door, and there in the silence, snatched up 30 men, smashed them unknowing in their beds, and ran out with their bodies, the blood dripping behind him, back to his lair, delighted with his night's slaughter. What did he do when he saw them, Mackenzie? He killed 30 of them. He just smashed them in their beds and then dragged some of them out and brought them home. Okay, now that's not human, I would hope. However, when he saw them, the monster's thoughts were quick as his greed or his claws. Would you argue that it is human to act without thinking when you're angry and you want revenge? I'm only going to highlight that one little part. I'm not going to highlight the rest because that is inhuman, and I'm not going to give them any forgiveness on that. But this one, we all have that revenge. It makes us want to do crazy things. Without thinking. That's very human. That is a very human thing to do. That's a very human flaw. A lot of us can relate to that. Doing something stupid in the heat of the moment when we're angry. Maybe not killing 30 people in their beds, let's hope. But, the night is young. Okay, so we're bringing back our bloody guys. Okay. At daybreak, with the sun's first light, they, the Danes, Hrothgar's men, saw how well he had worked, and in that gray morning broke their long feast with tears and laments for the dead. Hrothgar, their lord, sat joyless in Harrod, a mighty prince mourning the fate of his lost friends and companions, knowing by its tracks that some demon had torn his followers apart. He wept, fearing the beginning might not be the end. And that night, Grendel came again, so set on murder that no crime could ever be enough. No savage assault quench his lust for evil. Then each warrior tried to escape him, search for rest in different beds, as far from Herod as they could find, seeing how Grendel hunted when they slept. Distance was safety. The only survivors were those who fled him. Hate had triumphed. So Grendel ruled, fought with the righteousness, one against many, and won. So Herod stood empty and stayed deserted for years, 12 winters of grief for Hrothgar, king of the Danes. Sorrow heaped at his door by hell-forged hands. His misery leaped the seas and was told and sung in all men's ears how Grendel's hatred had began, how the monster relished his savage war on the Danes, keeping the bloody feud alive, seeking no peace, offering no truce, accepting no settlement, no price in gold or land, and paying the living for one crime only with another. No one waited for reparation from his plundering claws. The shadow of death hunted in the darkness, stalked Hrothgar's warriors, old and young, lying in waiting, hidden in the mist, invisibly following them from the edge of the marsh, always there, unseen. So mankind's enemy continued his crimes, killing as often as he could, coming alone, bloodthirsty and horrible. Though he lived in Herod when the night hid him, he never dared to touch the King Hrothgar's glorious throne, protected by God, God whose love Grendel could not know. But Hrothgar's heart was bent. The best and most noble of his council debated remedies, sat in secret sessions, talking of terror and wondering what the bravest of warriors could do. Sometimes they sacrificed to the old stone gods, made heathen vows, hoping for hell's support, the devil's guidance in driving their affliction off. That was their way. And the heathen's only hope, hell always in their hearts, knowing neither God nor his passing as he walks through our world, the Lord of heaven and earth. Their ears could not hear his praise nor know his glory. Let them beware those who are thrust in danger, clutched at by trouble, and yet carry no solace in their heart, cannot hope to be better. Hail to those who will rise to God, drop off their dead bodies, and seek our Father's peace. And so we're going to stop right there because Beowulf's getting ready to come in. How might Beowulf have heard what's going on in Herod, in Hrothgar's village? How might he have heard about it? Yes.
He's also a Christian, and they were asking God sent him to help them.
Oh, we're making a prediction that maybe God is going to send him, do that kind of thing? Okay. Down here we have Hrothgar's misery leaped the seas, was told and sung in all men's ears. So how is he going to hear about it? Say again? Right, word of mouth. Oh my gosh, have you guys heard what's going on over there in Herod? It's crazy. What do you mean? Oh, there's this monster. Oh, shut up. There's no monster. Yeah, for real. Killed 30 guys in one night. He's completely run everybody away. Get out of here, really? So everybody's talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. How long has this been going on? Did anyone catch how many years? 12 years. So 12 years Grendel is torturing them, seeking them out, finding them, killing them in the night when he can find them. He's run them all off from Herod, from their place where they live. And he basically is hanging out in their hall and is like, I own this place now, except he won't sit on the throne because God won't let him, apparently. So we found some human qualities of Grendel. What I'd like for you to do now is to look at the word choices, reread, part 1 and 2 here and take your green highlighter and highlight all of the monster parts. Anything that makes him seem monstrous. His home was in hell. I would highlight that. To me, that makes him seem monstrous. All of his people are 1,000 forms of evil. I think that makes him sound monstrous. So as you're reading, just reread, highlight the places that you see him being described monstrously in green.